Star Trek movies, part 3, the Kelvin timeline. And yes, I have another Star Trek shirt, which you can pause if you want to read. Um, so full disclosure, I did skip the 2009 Star Trek. We do own it, but we lent it, and I wasn't about to pay to rent it, to rent any movie that I own, especially a J.J. Abrams movie. You can refer to my Star Wars video for my opinion regarding him. I will acknowledge the casting of the crew is pretty spot on, particularly Carl Urban as Bones. He's so good. And Simon Pegg as Scotty. The music was written by Michael Giacchino, whose name I might be mispronouncing, who wrote the music for Star Wars Rogue One and Doctor Strange. While you're watching it, sometimes you'll hear strains from Doctor Strange, which be a little distracting. Alright. So, what we did watch was Into Darkness. So they were basically like, let's take the best Star Trek movie and remake it. And it just kind of misses the mark. I will admit, visually it has a lot, but there really is, like, it looks beautiful. It looks cool. But there's no substance to it. But yeah, shout out to the design department. Like, the Enterprise itself looks amazing. A lot of the things that they changed from the Prime timeline to the Kelvin timeline, I just don't understand. Like, it makes no sense. Why would this be changed? Like, I fail to understand why the change in the timeline would make Dr. Carol Marcus change careers. Like, why would you switch from creating the Genesis Project to being British, and a weapons expert, apparently? Like how did Kirk's dad exploding on the SS Kelvin, like, how did that affect that? It makes no sense. Why do they have, in the brig, why do they have glass instead of a force field? Also, the biggest, most glaring thing to me is, why does Uhura speak Klingon? Like, she needed a bunch of books to muddle through it in Undiscovered Country in Star Trek 6. Like, just barely muddle through it. And now she can speak it fluently? Like, again, it makes no sense. I also hate that they made Uhura, like, super preoccupied with her relationship with Spock. It's just, I feel like it undermines her character a lot. Also, they, like, deleted Nurse Chapel, which was who Spock kind of had a thing with a little bit in the classic series. So they're undermining the one female character who lived, or who is represented, and they boiled it into one. Like, it's a great film. It just seemed like there were a lot of changes for change's sake, not that made an actual better story. Also, maybe not remake the best Star Trek movie. You could have remade Star Trek 5, no one would have cared. It probably would have been an improvement. So, next we have Star Trek Beyond. Finally, we have a film that, in this series, does not have J.J. Abrams' involvement. Which is why it's actually enjoyable. So the Yorktown space station was such a cool design, and the low gravity fight on the station at the end is so well done. It's just like a ballet of movement. It's so cool. Um, it was also really cool to see the universal translator and how it might learn a new language. Um, JLo was a nice addition. Um, nice, strong female character. Not complaining about her relationship. Um, Idris Elba as the bad guy. Like, Idris Elba's always great, so it's cool to see him here. Um, and there were some great scenes in this film between Spock and Bones, and like they were great in the classic. Why wouldn't you try to bring that back? Um, earlier. Um, it was really cool to see like what the warp bubble would actually refer or actually look like, as it had only been referred to in the past, never shown. And this one it showed, and it was very visually very cool. Um, this movie is the first one in the Kelvin timeline to actually feel like the Star Trek universe rather than kind of a Michael Bay universe. So ranking would obviously go Star Trek Beyond at the top, and then Star Trek 2009, and then Into Darkness. Um, Most of the cast has signed on to do more, but after Anton Yelchin, uh, Chekhov, passing, that seems to be put on hold indefinitely, so we'll see if that ever happens. Um, anyways, that's my video. End of the three-parter. Hope you enjoyed, and happy viewings if you guys decide to watch them again, and live long and prosper.